Everyone's attention, please. Welcome. Welcome. My name is Gruff Schroeder. I'm the interim president of the Freethinkers of Colorado Springs. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's 20th anniversary meeting of the Freethinkers of Colorado Springs. This is our new third Thursday meeting. For many, many years we had meetings on fourth Wednesdays, but from now on we're going to be having them on the third Thursday.
Except for next month.
Except for next month. Well, I'll get to that. Because of the generosity of the new Tim Gill Center for Media and Colorado PBS and another group who's screening a movie across the way and letting us ride on their rental of the building for this evening. Tonight's presentation is a discussion of the future of the Freethinkers of Colorado Springs. Many of you already know this, but I'm going to go through the whole spiel because that's what you're supposed to do. A freethinker is a general term that includes agnostics, atheists, deists, humanists, non-believers, pantheists, secular humanists, skeptics, those with open minds, and many others. Come on in, have a seat. Founded in 1993, the Freethinkers of Colorado Springs are committed to the application of reason and the defense of the separation of church and state. Freethinkers support freedom of belief and believe that freedom of religion includes freedom from religion. Freethinkers of Colorado Springs welcome you all tonight, no matter where you are on the road to reason, and request that you visit the Freethinkers of Colorado Springs website at www.freethinkerscs.com to learn more about our group and our future events. And please, please, if you're not already a member, join Freethinkers of Colorado Springs. Talk to this gentleman right here, the Secretary-Treasurer. He would be very happy to take your money, even if you already are a member and you just want to give us more money. We hope you'll enjoy tonight's presentation so much that you'll all make a huge tax-exempt donation in support of our activities, which include our monthly membership meetings, which I was saying earlier now are going to be occurring regularly on the third Thursday of every month, and often right here at 315 East Costigan from 7 to 9 p.m. Our monthly potluck socials, which happen on the second Saturday of every month from 6 to 9 p.m. The next one is on February 9th, which is a Darwin's birthday one. I think that's happening at Hardy's house?
That's happening in Hardy's house.
That's happening at Hardy's house, and that's 5490 Taos.
7460.
7460 Taos Street in Colorado Springs.
Half a mile north of Woodman, half a mile east of Union.
There we go. And we'll put this all up on the website so that you can find it when you're ready to attend Darwin's birthday party. We also publish the Free Thought Views column in the Colorado Springs Independent on a monthly basis. And that is supported by your donations and your membership in this organization. We need submissions. If you've got something to say about free thought or almost anything, science, the defense of the separation of church and state, the advance of reason, please write us a 550-word article, send it to our website, and there's a good chance you'll appear as an author in of our column in the Free Thinkers. The Free Thought View column in the Colorado Springs Independent. We also have a yearly celebration, usually around the winter solstice. We've had a number of human light celebrations, and this year we had a Mayan calendar survivors party, which was a lot of fun, because we all survived, of course. And other activities, we used to have groups and other things. If there's other activities you think the Freethinkers of Colorado Springs should be involved in, please let us know, and we'll try and get them in. We'll put you in charge of it. That is exactly correct. Pardon me. Announcements. We want to thank the Tim Gill Center for Public Media and Montana PBS for allowing us to use this room. We need to leave the room by just about 9 o'clock sharp, and That should be all. We receive regular and significant donations from Evolve Fish. And Fred Cornos here writes our newsletter every month. He's been doing a wonderful job for a very long time.
Yay, Fred.
And it's already asked for your money. We'd like you to donate your time as well. We need people on the board. We are trying to get this organization rolling again. 10 years ago, we regularly had 50, 60 people at meetings. We had lots and lots of members. And things have kind of slowed down. And one of the ideas of tonight's meeting is to figure out how we can get this organization rolling again and move it into the next 20 years. So that we'll be even happier 20 years from now at this meeting. Announcements. The American Humanist Association is offering a Humanist Making a Difference Award. Every local group that is associated with the American Humanist Association, which includes the Freethinkers of Colorado Springs, may nominate one person for the Humanist Making a Difference Award. There are 4 winners per year, 1 per quarter, and if the person from your local group wins the Humanist Making a Difference Award, your group will receive $1,000 for a press event to help recruit new members. If you have any questions, I've got a handout up here, and you can talk to me about it, but I've already said everything I know pretty much. But Becky might be able to help you.
The person that is nominated does not have to be a humanist, doesn't have to be a non-believer, but does have to behave in that manner. So if you've got a religious person who's doing really good work, so it's not, on the far side of crazy, then they could potentially be a winner.
You might appear to be a humanist.
All they have to do is act like that.
Real honest to goodness non-believer.
That would be
That's
a
even
bonus.
better.
That would be a bonus, and I'm sure there's a few around.
Are there any announcements from the floor?
Can I talk about next month?
Please do.
Okay. Next month, we have a confirmed date now. It is February 27th, which is the last Wednesday of February. It'll be at Colorado College, Armstrong Hall. We'll have Catherine Stewart, who is the author of The Good News Club, How Evangelical Christians Are Destroying the Public Schools, or something horrible like that. And, oh my goodness, her book is scary. And the panel will have Catherine and then Richard Dawkins, who I don't think I need to explain to anybody in this room. And Eric Cernyar, who is a Cripple Creek patent attorney, who used to, well, he spoke to us a couple months ago, but he's the fellow who used to write advocacy briefs on behalf of the Good News Clubs, and he's had a change of heart, and he's trying to figure out how to help stop them from what they're doing. And so that's the 3 that I know for sure that will be there on the panel. And there will be some kind of a charge for it, but it's not expected to be a lot of money. I don't know yet what that is. They're just finalizing the details, but I'm thinking it'll be in the area of $10 to $15.
And is that here?
Colorado College, Armstrong Hall.
Oh, okay. All right.
And Colorado College's chaplain, Bruce Coriel, is the one who's making those arrangements for us. CC is donating the hall for us. That's why we keep the cost down.
And there's
Becky,
another.
I would suggest that maybe at least one introductory sentence on Richard Dawkins, because there may be someone here that has no idea who he is.
Well, he's a British evolutionary biologist, right?
He has written some books and
He's
stuff.
written a few books.
He sometimes speaks.
He's one of the 4 horsemen. And
What does that mean?
that means that it was Dennett, Dawkins, Hitch, I'm sorry, and Sam Harris, who are the big names in the push for new atheism. and
For
brought it out.
best-selling authors.
They're all top-selling authors, and they're all, tops in their field.
And speaking about tops in their field, we have another announcement. Becky Hale, our immediate past president, is now president of the American Humanist Association.
That's right. Thank you. I expect lots of you to go to the AHA conference this summer. End of May, June 1 and 2 in San Diego, right on the beach. Great venue. We're going to have a good kids program. Bonfires on the beach, lots of fun stuff. I can't announce the Humanist of the Year yet because
Yeah,
they won't let me say it yet.
not yet. Who is it? She can't say it.
Don't torture Gary.
Okay, so that was Becky. This is Harvey Pato. He's our secretary treasurer. We've got a lot of members of the board here, but everybody knows who they are.
No, everybody doesn't.
Well, Deborah Daly is a member of our board.
Right.
Charles
Shepherd.
Shepherd is a member of our board. Carol Proctor.
And then behind you,
We have Michael Clifford. And Ken Fulton is an immediate past member of the board. And Fred Cormos, as I said before. Did I miss anyone besides me? That's about it.
oh, I'm still on the board.
Yes, that's true. You're still on the board, but you're the immediate past president. We have speakers monthly, and but tonight we're having something different. We're having a discussion of the future of pre-English college. And tonight's speaker is me. I'm Brock Schroeder. I'm a former facilitator with the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs participation in the Colorado Springs 2000 and other visioning exercises. So I've done this visioning stuff before, and I've got an idea of how we might work together to try and figure out what we want to do with our next 20 years. So here's the plan. First, we're going to review and kind of talk about what's happened in the past. What worked and what didn't. Then we're going to break into groups and brainstorm. Everybody knows what brainstorming is? Everybody sits around and try and come up with ideas, whether they're crazy or good or bad or impossible or unbelievable, whatever, you write them down. And that brainstorming is going to be about where we should go and how we should get there. Then after everybody brainstorms for a while, and you write it down on a piece of paper. I'm sorry, I was not quite prepared. I only have this. I found this in the closet. I got used to the Gill Foundation where they had everything. I expected to come down here and find whatever I wanted. But I had to break in that closet to get this board, and I got this out of a drawer out front.
So you did find everything.
And it is a dryer, it is a dryer.
It is a dryer. Yes, I checked box. So we'll have everybody in the groups write down your brainstorming on, instead of a fancy thing like this, just a little piece of paper. Then after the brainstorming groups are done, we'll get together and we'll kind of write everything up on the board and try and figure out what the good things are and what the things that won't work are and the things that maybe we want to do even though they seem to be impossible. Then we will refine those and buff them down, and at the end of the evening, we'll identify suggestions that we're going to give to the board and say, all right, Do it, make it happen. Yeah. Are there any questions?
Can we have cake and cookies and drinks while we're doing the brainstorm?
That is actually better. It's absolutely perfect for brainstorming. For cookies and cake and soda. So, let's see how many people we have.
Got 21 people here.
21 people.
3 groups of 7.
Seven might be a little big, since we only have 3. And I'm not really going to be in a group.
Oh, you're not?
No, I'm going to be wandering around, being a taskmaster. I've got my whip here. So
Yeah,
yeah.
someone's my turn.
Prepare, yeah, thank you. So, but that's 4 groups of 5, maybe? Sound good?
Yep.
So if you could start here. 1,
1, 2, 4,
6,
2,
3,
1,
2,
3.
4, 5.
2, 3.
4,
5.
All right, everyone knows their group now?
No, are you putting all the ones together?
Oh, that's right, that's right.
You said we're supposed to remember the number we had?
That would be so handy. This is your chance to
You didn't tell us the rules.
Yeah, you're right, you're right.
We're free speakers, there are no rules.
Okay.
And the last time I did
I'll
this
figure
was
it out.
in 1988, I think, so I'm a little bit slow.
numbers?
So, let's talk about that. Does anybody remember the founding of this organization? Becky Gary?
Wonder Twin Powers activated.
That was us, huh?
It was us. We're the last ones here.
What was it like? What was happening? Why are we here?
Why did we do it?
Yeah, why are
We
we
did
here?
it because up in District 20, they were not teaching evolution in some of the science biology classes. And because Colorado was busy passing an amendment, that kind of happened afterwards.
That was a little bit before. It was still part of the energy of it.
Yeah, Colorado was busy passing an amendment to take away the civil liberties from gays and lesbians. And what else?
Focus on the family and come to town with the keys brought down from heaven by the Air Force parachute team. Very impressive.
Are you serious?
Oh, the Air Force brought them the keys to Dallas. It was beautiful. I got to see it just as they were throwing me and a bunch of other people out. They told me that happened later on.
He had a Darwin fish on his lip.
Yeah.
And
I had some shame.
the cameras or whatever.
I was in the Boy Scouts when that happened. I did their flag ceremony. I had no idea.
It was a big community event, wasn't it? There was all
Yes.
kinds of people there. District 11 sent their whole bus fleet up there without charge to haul people from the parking lots to focus the building. It was quite an event.
They had a manifesto oath for Christianity that the city council was supposed to sign. Remember that? Human family values. They wanted family-friendly libraries, whatever that meant. It meant that some books had to go. That was a bad atmosphere.
So, it sounds like, what happened to all this stuff? Do we still have no evolutions in school?
They're teaching evolution in District 20. There were 2 or 3 speakers we had over the years who were involved in the fight. One of them is presently on the school board of District 20, making sure that it stays there. He got elected 2 years ago to that school board. Never would have happened in 1930 as a non-believer and as somebody who was a scientist. So that one kind of got checked.
Okay,
Focus
so-
on the Family got a little more timid after their budget fell off and Dobson retired. Amendment,
Amendment 2 is unconstitutional. according to this.
Yeah, so
Supreme Court struck that down.
Supreme Court stopped that. And,
So a lot of those things have faded quite a bit.
The candidates for the city council all failed.
That the religious right supported.
No permits.
at that time, there were,
Well, at the time, they pretty much gave their blessing to candidates and they got elected. But the last couple of election cycles in the city at least, their candidates haven't done very well.
Well, and the second factor was abortion and pro-choice.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that.
So religious candidates are no longer a shoe-in to be elected.
No longer sure,
They still are elected, but they're not slammed in
It's not on the-
instantly. And we kind of had a big community event of our own with Focus on the Family a while back.
Oh, yeah.
We had the debate with Michael Newdow and that, so we can kind of neutralize these maybe. Well, I'm kind of balancing them out, yeah. So, but that leaves this really interesting one here.
Oh, yeah, the Air Force.
The Air Force Academy.
That was over the years, Air Force Academy cadets would sneak out of the academy, lie and say they were going to church because they could leave the academy to go to church, and they would come to our meetings. And they would sit in the back quietly and deny who they were with their short haircut and their 20-year-old bodies. Real obvious who they were. And gradually we get them to talk, and they tell us stories about the religious abuse that they experienced at the Air Force Academy. And several of us encouraged them to keep notes, keep journals, and at some point in their career file a complaint. And one of them did. Once he left the academy, he filed a complaint, and he caused all kinds of hell over there. And as a result of the havoc that he created by turning in his complaints, the Air Force went through several waves of self-examination over the way they abused religious minorities. Mikey Weinstein got his start through one of those waves because his Jewish son was going to the academy, and all of a sudden felt okay talking about how much he hated being picked on. A year or two before, he wouldn't have been able to talk about that because nobody else was talking about it. But once this one brave cadet managed to kick the door in, it started being discussed. It even got to the point where the Air Force Academy begrudgingly acknowledged to let, or admitted to agree to let the Freethinkers of Colorado Springs run a spiritual education program at the academy alongside Focus on the Family and the Navigators and all the other right-wing groups that they've been letting do it for years. And so for about, 6 or 8 years, we've had an ongoing program at the Air Force Academy.
96, I think. January 96 was the first.
Yeah, that was when
I'm sorry, 2006.
2006 is a date that I have in my head, but I've been trying to get some accurate dates on it.
I stumbled across that fact.
Yeah, at any rate, that's something that we managed to do. The battle still goes on. That group has been thrown out of the chaplains program recently, twice, accepted back in once and thrown out again. And right now, there's a lot of flux going on about what the chaplains are going to do against that group and other non-Christians. So there's still a lot of ugliness going on there.
Well, there's some fighting that's going on at the upper echelons of the just U.S. military chaplaincy in terms of how they're going to take a stance towards humanism, towards atheism, and that sort of thing. I was reading about that recently. So that's, likely just a subset of that larger sort of conflict.
Right.
Where were you finding that information?
That's it's somewhere online through a news story.
The military atheists and freethinkers have done a pretty good job of keeping up with that, and their website's a pretty good source for it.
We might have been through MAAF,
Yeah.
and it could have been through. I'm wired for a lot of news sources, so
It's hard to keep
it's hard to
track
keep
of.
track of all of them.
But the fact that they're doing that on a national level even makes it more significant for us, in my opinion, because we're in the situation of a local non-military group that has a history of interacting with those people. And that's a history that I think we're going to try to capitalize on.
Thank you. Let's keep going. So at that time, the goals of the Freethinkers of Colorado Springs, at least the way I've been saying since I showed up in 2001, was to advance reason and defend the separation of church and state. So, well, okay.
I think one of the goals that kept coming.
Oh, there's one more. Human equality.
Because one of the goals that kept coming through over and over again was community. A
Okay.
lot of people, in fact, couldn't care less about church-state separation. They just wanted to have some friends in town who weren't crazy. And that's what the group did for a lot of people, is provided them access to other non-crazy people. So community building was always a big part of it.
And how has the organization done in the last 20 years with advancing reason, defending the church and state separation, human equality, and community?
First three we've done pretty good. The last three we've got 20 people.
Yeah. So advancing reason, I mean, it's cool to be a nerd these days. I think we made a lot of progress there. Defending the church, separation of church and state, if nothing else, there have been many court cases that have been successful. There's been some failures too, some amazing failures, such as declaring, "In God we trust, not religious."
Well, ceremonial deism.
Yeah.
The voters
There's one
in
thing to say
Florida-
Christmas is general, but another thing, yeah.
The voters in Florida in this last election cycle voted down a bill that would have allowed the churches to tap into the school treasuries to run their religious education programs. And there was a lot of church-state separation discussion around that. And a lot of mainstream newspapers came out to attack the churches for doing it. That's one example of a place where church-state separation is being more aggressively upheld by a broader segment of the population than it used to.
We read the AHA's, most of you people don't even know this. The AHA's Abernathon Legal Center sent letters to the Colorado Springs City Council and to El Paso County Commissioners, calling them on their opening of their meetings with prayers.
And these were not just letters, these were bomb-proof legal letters of 10 pages long with references and legal.
Okay.
So the City of Colorado Springs City Council and the El Paso County Commissioners have been kind of
They've been
served,
put on
if you
notice.
will.
Yeah.
Has this made the news? I haven't seen it.
No.
It depends on what your news sources are, because I knew about it.
Well,
You did, where'd you find out?
I was actually linked, Mikey linked me to something about it, Mikey Weinstein.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Because I haven't heard.
yeah, because he linked me because Pam Zubik had mentioned it to him.
And Subek.
Yes.
Oh.
There was an editorial somewhere, because this was tied into the Pueblo City
Pueblo stuff,
Council
yeah.
thing, and that sort of overflowed.
I saw the stuff, but I hadn't seen.
Yeah, and I think there was a letter to the editor.
Because I had, well, actually before December, but I had a pretty lengthy argument with Bernie Kirkland on, yes, I did.
So that's great stuff.
One of the opportunities for activism we have right now is the Free Thinkers of Colorado Springs needs to know if the City Council and the El Paso County Commissioners are still using prayer before their meetings. We don't know if that's a fact or not. So,
It's not hard to find out because county commission broadcasts them on the website.
so there you go.
And I'm sure that the city was.
I know that the city had discussed going to a moment of silence, but I hadn't heard if they decided that's what they were going to do or not.
So we don't know. We know that the city and the county have received these just unbelievable letters. I mean, they're, wow. They're beautiful.
Monica at AHA, at the Legal Center, really did the homework. She sat and watched the beginning of all of the city council meetings going back maybe 2 or 3 years, and then cited what percentage of them were Christian evangelical, which ones, how many were Jewish, how many, I mean, she really got it down there. So it's good. The other thing is, I spoke at city council, it was about a year ago, when they were giving the city municipals to YMCA. And I spoke to the city council, and I have not done follow-up. So if anybody goes to the live basis, please, or at any of the city pools that are now managed by the Y, please, keep your cell phone camera going and see if there's any church-state violations. Do you have to sign anything? If you want to, you get a reduced membership if you join the Y, you sign a Christian statement, but if you're just a person, I would like to know those things, and I have some.
Okay. So let's keep going. It looks like, for the goals of the Free Thinkers of Colorado Springs, we made a lot of progress advancing reason, a lot of progress defending the separation of church and state, and a lot of progress with equality. I mean, we're not all the way there yet, but we still need to work on community building.
Well, there's a Free Thinkers Youth Program, children's program.
Yeah, it's not doing
Yeah.
It's kind of static.
They've tried to restart a number of times without much, as far as I know, without much success.
So it's kind of down on the case.
Okay, so, you know, at some point, we can think about declaring victory and going home.
No,
Okay.
I don't think we won yet.
I don't think so
I
either.
don't think you're going to. Price of freedom is a term of vigilance?
You got
Christians shut down in the home, but I don't think they're gonna do that either.
Yeah. I just had to bring it. So, we still have a couple areas to work with.
And you know what, Ross, we have to also celebrate all the new groups that are in town. Because when we started 20 years ago, there was an inactive, sort of brand new FRF. Okay, there was somebody who represented themselves.
That's the marquee.
And now we've got, we've got skeptics now. We have a,
In new groups.
yeah, we've got a skeptics group in town, which does drinking skeptically and does some people, what do you think are skeptics?
Yeah.
The brunch, they do a second, fourth Sunday brunch, and
Yeah.
Panera Bread.
Right, every other Sunday. Yeah.
And movie night, that every third
Mhm.
Friday.
Yeah, movie night, and then there's also,
So, when
there's
this,
a free thought group at Lake Community College.
Yep, ask an atheist.
Huh?
Ask an atheist. as in
Ask an
CCC.
atheist, and the
Was that-
UCCS group.
isn't that community building?
It is, it is.
A little bit.
And-
Well,
This
and
is,
I
that's
was
like
gonna
a
put that
church.
as separate groups that spawn out and that's how much you're doing.
I think it does. I think it certainly does. You do things, I know part of the reason the skeptics started was because one of John Rising was frustrated with some of the things he saw happening in this group, so he kind of went off and did his own. And that was sort of the beginning of it, and that's great. People split off this early when we were forming the Free Thinkers. One of the things a lot of people wanted to associate with American atheists, other people American humanists, other people FFRF. We were having arguments over which group we'd associate with, and so we decided not to associate with any of them. But we encouraged the people who wanted to have a chapter of those groups to form it. And Becky and I formed an AHA chapter and have done some things through that. I don't think anybody has formed an American Atheist chapter, and there's a post office box that goes to an FFRF chapter. So there have been other people that have done things. And I think that's great. I think encouraging other groups is a great way to grow.
So we had great accomplishments on every one of our goals.
And some of the meetings have been huge.
That's been fun.
And no speaker.
Yeah, we've had Gil Alexander Magerly, who was one of the founders of Focus on the Family. We had Newdow a couple of times. We had Newdow here before most of the country knew about it. And
Professor Steiner.
Vic Stenger.
Oh, and who's the professor of the University of Denver?
David Eller.
David Eller, he was wonderful.
So although it's easy to think, you know, we've got a group of 20 people here, after 20 years, there are 20 people at our meeting. It's easy to think of this as maybe that's not so great, but we've really accomplished a great deal.
We also have a lot of credibility in the community. Whenever there's a big church-state separation issue, the radio or television people will contact Free Thinkers. When I go to an ACLU meeting, they know who we are.
Okay, so we've made a lot of progress. We don't want to quit. So now we have to decide where do we want to go from here and how are we going to get there. So we've got the 5 groups. We got a lot of sugar-based food over there. And we got a plan to brainstorm. Does anyone have any questions or ideas or something to say?
I just had a question about, because there's always a lot of conversation about the Air Force Academy, but I don't really ever hear any conversation about Fort Carson. And I have my own views with Fort Carson, going back 10 years now, so, you know.
We don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I think the reason we don't know what's going on down there is because at the Air Force Academy, we have a student group that stays in touch with the rest of the student groups and the freethinkers here in town, and they let us know what's going on. But the Fort Carson doesn't have that same benefit because they don't have a student group.
Would you like to find out what's going on there?
That would,
Sure.
yes.
Well, I know, I have active duty there, and I'm retired from Fort Carson. so
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, and we don't know what's going on at Peterson, we don't know what's going on out at Shreveport. Well, we'll see, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, the academy is very
I
good.
newspaper,
Yes.
so I cover events on Fort Carson, and I really don't like when they start with all kinds of invocations that are really religious based and.
Okay, well, put that down, because that's something maybe we can do with the police.
Also, the Air Force is the progressive branch, and we pay guys against them until you go against the Army.
All right,
Speaking about religion linked to the military, I sent the board a few emails about the 13 folds of the American flag, and I didn't get one single response, not a single peep from anyone.
Well, I knew about that, Harvey, because a few years ago, Beata White's husband died. And when Dave died, Beata has always been a free thinker. So we went, many of us went to support her community building, and we went to his memorial service out at Fort Carson. And then they did the burial up in Denver. And they handed her the flag with a piece of paper that said, this is what those 13 folds mean.
Ooh.
And she went ballistic. Good for her.
This is why we need more board members, because somebody sends out an email and nobody responds because we're all too busy.
And she didn't know where to go, what to do with it. But it wasn't new to me, so that's why
Yeah, I challenged the person that sent it out, and I said, well, what's the basis of this? And he said, military protocol or something, and then I fired back and said, no, not at all. In fact, Snopes specifically says that it's a myth, that it was made up by, humans.
Might be up by David Barton.
Yeah. Well,
One more thing.
following and pushing myths is not alien to religious organizations.
Well, it's not alien to the military to adopt different practices based on ceremonies either, for rituals for ceremonies and stuff, so.
So let's get back and try and get to the sugar-based foods. And I also have there were 8 points that were, I only have 10 of these, so I'll kind of split them up. If you read the email that Gary sent out, he also has some questions about how we might, you already have one? How we might move forward. And so I'm passing those out for the brainstorming session. So I just encourage all the ones to get together with all the other ones and all the twos with the twos and get sure.
We have to remember all that.
So are we meeting all ones or which ones? Because you never actually.
Yeah.
He just said one now. I got one. I can take one over here too.
And let's put
Yeah. I did got 5.
So what we're going to try and do now is figure out what are the best ideas and prioritize them. And then we're going to hand them off to the board. And let them worry about it for a while. So where to from here? Somebody, anybody, one of your lists? Best, somebody's looking at a list, what's the best one you think you have and where to?
Yeah, I think one of my favorites is a location. An actual venue that we either rent or own.
So location or building?
Church.
Okay.
It's still one of the churches. I find it ironic and fun.
So I hope to at least get a photograph of everybody's notes before you leave. Anybody else have that? Is that duplicate across the group, or is this just one? So just one group thought of this. What's another one? Where to from here? Yes.
I've spoken to a couple people about this already. I think in order to get not just ourselves, but our ideas out there, we need to have some type of broadcasting format.
Okay, so maybe that's
Our group setting, exactly.
okay. A broadcasting format. Is that where to or how we get there?
Both.
Could be both.
I think it's related to what you just said. We have publicized the good works of our free thought community. In other words, circulate that, hey, we're doing good things here. We're not a bunch of baby eating, whatever.
Yeah. But you're talking about an actual broadcast location, like a radio station that belongs to the organization?
Whether it be radio, I'm thinking more so actually like a live, kind of like almost like a live show.
Oh, like maybe a public access TV show or something like that?
Something like that, where people can call in, engage them.
Like Austin's,
Second?
Faith-based experience.
like a
Exactly.
experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that would definitely be a how for sure. It might be the where to, both, but it's definitely a how, right?
Well, I think the where to is new membership and growth.
Yeah, so
Oh,
promotion.
so growth would be the under here.
And
I
then
think
the
we call that
how is
promotion.
Promotion, don't tell Dave Gardner.
Well, change perceptions is to me a big piece of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Ask an atheist table at Spring Street for,
Yeah.
that'd cover a lot of bases.
Yeah, but if all the groups are doing it, I mean, if we think of tonight as not just for the free thinkers, but tonight as to how we support all of our fellow travelers here in town. I didn't get a chance to say it in our group, but if we do Spring or Gay Pride or any of those again, we don't have just the free thinkers there.
But
We have the free thinkers and the skeptics
And some of us are here are full-time skeptics. I don't know if we have anybody from the atheist community, but we're here to promote our cross working together.
so form alliances between the groups. Okay, for where to, we want maybe a location or a building. We want it to grow, obviously, and change perceptions.
Branding, would that be part of branding?
Oh, branding.
Branding,
So improve brand.
yeah.
Or,
Well, I mean, it's kind of in that perception room, because one of the things that I mentioned was, and I think this is, because when you talk to people, you probably heard people, Christians or religious folks use the phrase, militant or atheist, which has a negative perception. And one of the things that I think is really important is that we become as tolerant as we want everyone else to be. So we need to find a way to temper our own hostilities and ill feelings about religion in general when we're dealing with different people, because so that we don't come across as militant, so it doesn't detract from those good works that we're trying to publicize. You know what I mean? So that we're maintaining that brand.
yeah.
How about if we go door to door like the Mormons?
So I'll just put brand on this. We have a great thing to cover.
So on top of what she just said, I'd like to add to that, inviting, and this is what my group did, went back from where I'm from. We decided to invite the pastors of local churches to dinner with our board members. And so the thing is, if you want, and I'm a fan of this, I know this has been a divisive issue in the free thought movement in the past, but the degree to which groups like this can work on certain charitable projects with liberal-minded groups who also support the separation of church and state. I think the beginning of that lies in having the leadership of those groups come together and discuss the potential for mutual overlap in the visions of these groups, the functions of these groups. And so that, I think that's a good idea in terms of being able to link ourselves with other groups and accomplish certain goals. Couldn't a group like this have more resources, more knowledge sets?
So in addition to meet pastors, we should meet, the local leaders of the groups should meet together.
Right, the leaderships, right? And then in the future, if that does kind of pan out, that will give members of each group the opportunity to actually be around one another when you're engaging in these community service projects to kind of promote that for change in perception that you're talking about.
And
That's,
a good one to start on that is the Good News Club. We are totally, the Good News Club is totally being focused on organizations who are against this whole Good News Club thing.
Great.
It's not just secular.
Which can include Christians.
Absolutely.
They don't believe that what they're doing is right.
Yeah.
So what else? What next?
I'd like to offer
Exactly.
something, and we didn't discuss it in our group, but just something came up, and especially with what you just said about other Christian groups. I was born Jewish, and Rabbi Hirsch has had a interfaith council, and I'm wondering, would they be open to an atheist group in being involved in their discussions?
Well, I can answer that question. I think Dean Tollefson attended some interfaith group meetings, but the problem was that everybody else were believers. And so it was all a big faith thing. We're all together, we agree, and that was, we just don't quite fit into, just as the free thought group, the Air Force Academy doesn't fit to the special programs in religious education. It's kind of the definition of the group we just don't really fit.
For the where tos, we had growth, and to that end, encourage participation by youth.
Youth outreach is what we had. So that's where to. So
that would be the how-to, would be encourage youth participation or youth outreach, one of those.
So I put growth/youth.
So,
Well, this is more how, which is activities targeted toward youth.
Okay.
We didn't get to that level.
So where to is involving youth. The how is the activities that will attract
Correct.
the youth.
Okay.
so one of the suggestions popped up in our group is we have quite a few people out there that are kind of loners that are because they got out of churches, they don't want to be a part of church.
Yeah.
They're kind of loners and they don't like big groups. Somebody suggested smaller but multiple events happening at the same time. So you have a hike that only takes 5 people, makes it smaller and more inviting to the people person that's like, I don't want to go to a house or something that has 30 people. That's
So it's subdivided events.
yeah,
Smaller.
What else?
My experience has been the opposite, because I'm involved with a number of meetup groups, and if there's a film showing, there may be 2 or 3 different meetup groups advertising that same event, which increases the numbers.
yeah, I think most
So
of
to me, with crossover and involving contacting organizers of other groups that have a connection, some overlap.
So that'd be like the leadership meetings.
Okay.
So what else?
No, I don't think that is the same.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that's
All
what
the
you
same
said.
thing going.
Go ahead, take the time to clarify.
Yeah, no, but you have meetup groups that overlap in their interests. And in each of these meetup groups, you have organizers that are responsible for their functions. And by contacting like-kind types of groups and connecting with, touching base with those organizers, you might have the ability of finding overlap into other groups that you may not be making yourself available to.
So how do we say that? It's under how, I assume.
Well, I think one of the things that I might put out is the meet pastors and leadership were two different things. Leadership was for secular groups.
Right.
Yeah, I have meet pastors here and leadership meetings, and by leadership, I
And the
mean.
leadership meetings can include organizers of those meetup groups.
Yes.
Okay, I guess, yeah. I wouldn't call it a leadership group, but okay.
Yeah, well, the skeptics don't have a leader, but it's.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe the leadership falls under alliances.
Yeah.
The leaders form alliances between the groups. And so what do we want to call leadership meetings, or intergroup?
Meetup group crossovers.
Secular council.
I have considered an actual council of all the groups of Springs, which
Right.
fall under,
Yeah.
and then we can fall under COCOR, which is a decent Colorado.
Back in Arkansas, we tried to have all the leaders of the various different pre-thought atheist groups across the entire state have a cyber conference every Sunday.
Oh, wow.
And so we actually managed to pull that off for a while. There was a pre-typed agenda. We all knew what it was before we got there. You had a chance to input before it was typed and sent out, and that whole thing. So, I mean, that would be...
Yeah, COCOR already has the names and numbers of all.
You say a cyber conference?
Right. Through Skype, you have everybody, you bring everybody together, everybody would come in on that, and then we discuss projects and means to accomplish them and so forth. So when it works very well.
I'm sorry, Google Groups.
I'm happy to see the Colorado groups pull it off once a month.
Right, well, we were trying to do it once a week, so it was...
Quarterly, you know, start
How
off small.
about increased visibility, which would be the where to and how by promoting rational political candidates?
Okay, increase visibility. The
I
thing
think there are
about,
many ways to do that, though. Yeah. there are.
as a 501c3, we can't.
Can't politic.
So
Well, we
you
can
promote-
politic, we can do issues,
you could
but
do
we
issues.
can't do candidates.
Well,
So how about promote rational political positions rather than candidates?
That would work.
And Rob, one of the things you do is you just invite the candidates.
Right,
And
yeah.
when they come to the board group, and they get to talk, and they answer questions, they become more familiar with who we are.
Even if they don't show up.
And this may not be the most appropriate suggestion, but we'll find out. You can use groups that aren't nonprofit
That's true.
organizations
That's
to bring in people.
Yes, we just have a skeptics.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna
we
say,
can't
the
say-
skeptics are not a 501c3, so.
Right. We can't say the Freethinkers Colorado Springs want you to vote for Bob for city council.
But we can say the skeptics.
Yeah,
Right.
skeptics can.
And we can
Although,
say the
skeptics
Freethinkers
may
Colorado
say, we
Springs.
didn't agree on that.
Right, we do it that kind of.
And we can say the Freethinkers of Colorado Springs want you to vote for candidates who, here's the list of things that Bob wants to do.
Okay, also to increase visibility, encourage free thinkers to come out of the closet.
Make it safe for them.
Like the Glitch Without God campaign.
How many closets
Put
are
it
there?
there.
Well, you know,
But that would
accomplish
be
that
I
sort of
think it's hard
thing.
because
But how do we make it safe? We're not their employer.
well, and that's only one way of being, that's only one
correct.
threat. There are other threats out there. I mean, there are people who, I mean, I didn't let my family know that I wasn't a Christian until a few years ago because, you know, so we have to make it morally safe to be who you are. And by increasing the presence in the community, we are saying, hey, you know, these people are, you know, can be who they are, so good without God.
And yeah, and community itself makes it safer too, because once you have enough people that are here, if you lose your job, you have connections to find a new job with people that are more.
If you lose your friends, you already have
You have someone.
people that make your story very like.
Okay, what else? This is great. This is
How about for visibility, advertising ourselves?
Yeah, we have promotional posters.
advertising, promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all promotion kind of stuff.
We already get all those
out there too?
Please.
I mean, I did mention, it. Okay, March on Focus on the Family.
It sounds something.
They need to focus on there. That's awesome. Let's do it.
But we have to get more than.
Who's providing the fish for us?
We're gonna march with focus. We need
So
all the
the
different
reason
reasons.
why, what about getting involved in veterans groups?
Yeah, that's
Because
a
there's
good
plenty
idea.
of atheists in veterans groups.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So that would be under power.
Yes.
There's no way out. You're stuck.
Levitate.
What other crazy ideas do we have? Were there any?
Well,
So March on Wednesday, so March on
March
March.
and I'll speak.
well, it's on there, it's on there, Charles.
Yeah.
But Renee added to it, and she said, a recent rally in Colorado Springs, so we do a recent rally, so we march on focus on the family.
Yeah, a conference or rally or
Yeah,
something.
we have enough people to actually make a news event out of it.
We should do it like every year when they buy their little ad for the Super Bowl. That's when we should be marching over there.
Yeah, it's too cold there, let's do it in June.
I get big baby.
The last time we marched on Focus on the Family was the coldest damn day of the year, and it was raining and snowing.
That's okay, that means that we're tough as atheists. We
Well,
don't care what God works on.
How about our Super Bowl ad?
I know, but it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you're gonna do some national people about that. That's millions of dollars.
Yeah. Did you hear that back? A Super Bowl ad.
What about a Super Bowl ad for us?
Yeah, not gonna happen.
Well,
Maybe on some other station.
well, wait a minute. It might happen if we do our alliances correctly, and we get a hold of our broadcast thing, and we,
Anybody got to get ready outside in the middle of the night?
well, according to the cable television laws, cable television providers are supposed to provide free access to studio equipment. So, and in most communities, there's a very healthy public access TV operations. And in Colorado Springs, it's very, very difficult to gain access to those broadcast facilities. I was talking to the chief information officer at UCCS, and he said that Comcast regularly tells callers calling in to ask for free access to the equipment to call UCCS. But that's another story. And the Super Bowl ad is in the crazy zone. Anything else?
There's
How about
also,
circle ad on that? Because it doesn't have to be a Super Bowl ad. Just
Yeah.
like an ad.
A major ad.
Yeah. Just-
Actually, we need to get a Super Bowl ad that gets banned. It doesn't have to get shown.
You don't have to pay for it, you
That's
know?
right.
that's a good point, though. We are not good at putting out press releases. And we could be putting out press releases.
And press releases are usually printed for free.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It seems to me that the strength of your programming is something that you can jump off of in the purpose of then getting that programming information out there, maybe with a PSA ad or something which is free to you.
Yeah.
You know, if you have an event that I think they find worthy enough of putting out there. So to me, the stronger your programming, the more people you get, the stronger your programming, the more you're able to promote and market that.
That's true. But one of the things with the press that I found out is that when you're talking to somebody in the press, your message is at their mercy. You can spend half an hour talking to them, and they'll show 15 seconds of your interview.
Where you made the worst mistake.
Yeah, where you are not.
I'm not
So-
talking about an interview, but that could be. I'm just saying a PSA advertisement is 30 seconds. There's no.
Okay, so we've got quite a bit of stuff here, and we're running out of time before we're going to have a few minutes to talk to each other at the meeting.
I would like to point out something that I think would be useful. You know, we don't want to ever reinvent the wheel, so one of the things that I had thought might be useful is modeling ourselves after after other successful organizations like Gay Lesbian Fund, Foundation, they've become successful? Is there things that they're doing that help them be successful, and can we model some of those things to help our organization become successful? You know, other local groups that might be considered, you know, kind of controversial, but they've become successful and respected.
Well, I had considered the group's model, that's what we had done.
I'm sorry?
We had considered the group's model, its operating model.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So that,
And then something else is like training, leadership training, and trying to like improve our skills, whether it's leadership or public, you know, public speaking, or what are the things that we need to do to become successful. Finding ways to get training on those things.
Well, you'll probably enjoy the March meeting, March 21st, I believe. Michael Clifton's going to teach social media activism.
Yeah.
So that may be exactly that.
That's a good start, definitely.
Yeah, and then we could do a little bit, I mean, I've never gone to Toastmasters, but I've heard about it. We could have a little mini, you know, let's get together and practice your 10-minute speech, and you practice your 10-minute speech, and we can critique each other.
CNFI, correct me if I'm wrong, CNFI actually does some form of leadership training for its people. It offers some workshops or seminars of some sort for secular leaders.
Actual classes.
So
Was it CNFI? Might be CNFI, yeah.
I took
So-
one.
So
Yeah.
it's that's
Okay, we're running out of time, and one of our goals is to prioritize these and give them to the board and say, okay, make it happen.
They have to come on the board as well.
Well, yes. A lot of the members of the board have been there for a long time, and we need new members of the board. We've kind of established, you know, we've got this 20-year-old thing now. We've got a brand. People respect us in the community. We kind of built this thing, and we need new people to come in and drive.
So that sounds like youth activities ought to be one of the top three, is what I'm hearing.
I'm thinking more like youth
Because what you
leadership.
just said, because what you just said.
But you have to get them into the group before you can.
That's true. But we have quite a turnout tonight. So, for where to, what's number one?
So growth.
Growth is number one.
I think branding is number one, because branding is part of what helps you grow.
Yeah.
Can you define prioritize one, two, three? Just
Branding
a very
is a
common-
business concept. Everybody has a brand. It's your reputation, essentially. You have an online, you know, you can have an online presence, you can have an
Like-
industry presence. It's how you're seen.
Coca-Cola has a
Branding is-
brand. Everybody
Right.
knows what Coca-Cola is.
Branding is a consistent visual or auditory representation of who you are that's
Well,
always
that's
the
part of it.
same and that people will always recognize. It's a brand like a brand on a
Right, but there's actually more to it than that. I
You're
mean,
kind
that's
of
part
lighter
of
with
it.
reputation.
Right. And part of your reputation is part of your brand. But you have to be actively, you know, managing that.
To paraphrase, of course, you know, branding is as branding does. So,
Yeah, I don't care if it's one, two, or three, I just think that youth activities ought to be one of the three.
Yeah, I think,
For the free thinkers, you're definitely correct. You guys.
Well,
yeah. So a lot of people are going to agree.
What's the
that-
definition
growth
of youth,
overall.
under 50?
Yeah. Youth is under 50.
growth, how about growth overall, which includes,
That's what I
I
said.
mean, growth is
Is everybody?
Yeah.
That's
true.
It doesn't matter how old our members are as long as they're active and they're working towards their goals, right?
Yeah.
Right, the where to would be growth, and then the how to, I would suggest youth activities.
You can always put a plus.
Yeah.
We need to try and launch a secular student alliance group on UCCS.
There is, I'm not president.
Okay, so let me get with you about that after this.
Okay,
I've got some
so
ideas for you.
we all agree we want the group to be larger, more active, making more things happen. So we'll call that growth. And David Gardner would love to push on that, maybe.
There was a thing in there about subdivided events. I
Yeah.
think that is something that we ought to look toward, partly because it feeds nicely into growth, I think, and because it deals with a lot of the various issues that people come to a free thought community for. Some people want to argue about God, some people just want to be around like-minded people, some people want to find folks for activist campaigns. And if we had a schedule each month that had various subdivided activities, I suspect we'd get different people with those things. I know a lot of people don't like the Wednesday lecture format.
Yeah. And some people don't like the social format. And so we've had requests for movie nights, and there's all sorts of different things we could do.
So that's one of the house then, so.
Well, and that's this calendar, right?
Yeah, so along with subdivided events, you need to make a calendar that's easily accessible and shared among all the groups. So all the groups have their stuff in place, and you can figure out what's happening, kind of tags on the
So,
system. You know, this
we
is
talked-
your baby, or
Yeah, I strongly agree. We talked about alliances and group crossover, and so maybe the first thing we could say here is communications. Everybody think that's okay?
No, I put calendar here.
And you
Well, I think
know,
that's,
It doesn't say it.
it doesn't say,
it doesn't say it. Well, how do we say that we have a central calendar where all the groups have their
Joint
information
calendar.
together?
A joint calendar.
Visibility.
Well, does that also cover getting the groups together and
Yes.
common moving forward, planning?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you have to get together pretty much to get a calendar together.
yeah, and the reason I kind of support the idea of communication is that if you write communication plus tools, the calendar is part of that communication.
Yeah, I didn't want communication to go away. I want a
Okay.
calendar to be underneath it.
So just communication,
As a
make it a little smaller,
sub-item.
right?
Yeah.
there was a discussion earlier about a podcast as a sub-item of communication. And
So
then
communications is a huge
the
category with all kinds of
the
stuff.
telecast idea that this gentleman had is another example of
Yeah.
communication.
So we could almost say, well, communications does broadcast and alliances and cyber conference,
And group
Face-to-face or
group
digital.
crossover,
Right.
encouraging out of the closet, promoting issues. Communications can cover a lot of these
That's
things,
right.
Okay. So what next?
Randy.
For work two?
Yes.
Everybody like that?
I'm not sold on branding.
What I'm trying to say that branding is that what your organization does is what's then seen in the community that enforces or changes the branding that you're trying to create. So if you're doing stuff for the fundraisers on PBS or whatever activity it is that you're doing, that's what helps in part create that brand.
Yeah, and like one of the gentlemen we had in our group talked about us volunteering as a group, doing things in the community. So that promotes the group name, that contributes to your branding and the outside perception of the group.
Okay, so there's 3 more priority slots. Let's finish them up and the meeting's over, so.
One of the things I'll just notice that the increased visibility
I think
falls
it's
under
the-
that checked off. Because if you've got increased visibility.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't hear that.
Oh, he's saying that increased visibility and growth are inextricably
Kind of
linked.
together.
Yeah.
so.
So what?
I think that how for the growth and the branding is joint participation in these community festivals.
A lot of community participation, community outreach.
Like Spring Spree, like the diversity festival. that
So kind of
happens.
showing up in person.
That's right.
Showing up, having the tent out there, having his skeptics sitting there next to the free thinkers, next to the atheist community, or whoever.
And it doesn't even have to be a group that's necessarily in line with our practices.
In-person at events.
Yeah, so
Sure.
that's it.
Event participation.
Okay, event participation. Okay, What else? We've only got 2 more left then.
Irish free thinkers, let's see what happens.
You know, if we're talking about 20 years, this might be something interesting to talk about. I heard someone said that in Denver, there's
We have the
a
hub, they call it the hub, and the leased a space, is it in 5 Points? It's in some area of Denver, and they've got, I think they're working on a liquor license. They've got a kitchen and a little bookstore in there, and I mean, Gary and I tried to do that years ago. There just wasn't enough critical mass in
Yeah.
things.
but wouldn't that be fun, meeting in our own building and,
Having
yeah.
that to share and stuff would be a big thing. I know
And
somebody's.
and that would all help with growth and branding and,
If you're talking about a 20-year goal too, you could have an organization with an account that sort of fundraise every year kind of towards.
oh, that's an interesting point. And really work to work like churches do.
Yeah.
Right,
That's how they do
ongoing
it.
fundraiser planning.
So what
So
are
where
our
to
last
be,
3 items?
location and fundraising could be your town.
Yeah,
We've only got 2
so,
left.
yeah, I would say location and then how is fundraising, because that's planned fundraising.
Recruit a pub owner.
Recruit a pub owner.
Yeah. They got the.
Well, we already have
Yeah,
one.
and the liquor license.
So, any comments, ideas, additions, suggestions?
The pot store.
Well, thank you very much for coming. If you have a list of notes, I'd like to just photograph it, and so I can keep it for the records to give it forward.
How about we have anyone that has notes, send them in an email to our email address, that way they can be cut, pasted, and used.
Well, my camera with my phone.
I'll just let you have it.
Thank you, thank you. Because there's nothing like getting them right now, and we can't lose them. Thank you very much for coming. We've still got the room for about 15 minutes. Thank you very much.